welcome back to Beyond Dawn. So today's video is going to have a little bit of what seems to be wisdom taken from Buddhism or some Eastern religions, but I can assure you that a lot of this information was given to me from my doctors and my therapists, and I quite frankly do believe that our ancestors knew a lot. And when I say our ancestors knew a lot, I really do believe that we should look at traditional medicine and not necessarily disregard the teachings of it. There's a lot that we have learned and that has been passed down even into modern medicine or Western medicine. And quite frankly, a lot of the teachings from Buddhism or Hinduism have helped me so much in my healing process because there's a theme of balancing the mind or quieting the mind. And I think that our ancestors knew more than we actually give them credit for. So that's why you may hear some, I guess you could say, Eastern medicine / Eastern religion theme going on in this video. But again, like I said, my doctors have actually recommended a lot of this stuff, and these are tips that they also gave me. So, where does joy or happiness come from? And what is the definition of happiness? Because happiness is hard to find sometimes, there has been so much research done on it. Many look for happiness in love. Others will try to find it in the excitement of travel or in the prospects of never being alone. This is why we may turn to religion in the quest for happiness. But the true reality is that happiness comes from within. We must feel that we deserve happiness. And only once we truly believe we deserve happiness will happiness be attained. So I want this to be your new mantra. Happiness is just as accessible to you as pain is. Meaning, happiness is achievable. We just put that mind block that we are not worthy of it and that we deserve only pain. So the belief that you're unworthy of happiness truly sabotages any possibilities of being happy in the present. And this can be something that you're doing consciously or subconsciously, but using past events to define your self-worth in the present definitely deteriorates or destroys any potential happiness that you will feel in the future or in your present self. I really used to feed into this. I used to really believe that I was unworthy of happiness and that everything that happened to me in the past really defines who I am presently, and it defines my self-worth. I know how hard it can be to break that cycle because essentially it's again like this vicious cycle of your past guilt or your past sins feed into your current view of yourself or your self-worth, meaning that you have depression or a low self-esteem based on the facts of what happened to you in the past. So, what are some self-sabotaging behavior or thought processes that we have? So, number one is having a critical self-image. If happiness equals what you do and what you do equals your self-worth, then your happiness is going to be very rare. And this is something that I completely struggled with in the beginning process of me trying to heal. I still struggle with it sometimes because my natural thought process is that I need to be a perfectionist. I need to do everything right because I grew up in a very critical household, right? I had a mom that always was critiquing what I did and essentially giving me negative feedback, telling me I was not good enough. So by being raised in that household or a household like that, it really set me up to be self-critical of myself or having a critical self-image. Number two is past sins. And this is essentially looking back and only seeing what you did wrong and taking that and placing your present self-worth off of what you've done wrong in the past. I used to struggle with this a lot as well. It really ties in with the perfectionism. And I know we've all kind of had those moments of like looking back and seeing something that's really cringeworthy or embarrassing and just saying, oh my God, I wish I could go back and take that away. But what we're doing there is sabotaging our present happiness by using something that either we're embarrassed by or something that we think that we did wrong, and determining our present happiness with it. Number 3 is trauma. And trauma has a varying effect on every individual who goes through a traumatic event. But the one thing that it can do is leave us with lasting emotional scarring and damage and a warped perception of self-worth. And everyone has different reactions or side effects from a traumatic event. Personally, for me, I had a traumatic childhood, and it left me with a warped perception of my intelligence, my self-image, and it really took away from my ability to be truly happy as an adult. And in addition to that, I've gone through sexual trauma, meaning I was sexually assaulted, and after that incident, I really felt dirty. I felt as if I had committed a moral crime and that I wasn't worthy of anyone's affection. Through those traumatic events or experiences that I had, I really defined what my worthiness of happiness is or was. So not only does trauma leave us with a warped self-perception, but it can also leave us with a lot of guilt. Survivor's guilt or guilt for being happy are just examples of what kind of guilt you can feel after traumatic events. All of these play a role into your self-worth or your potential to be happy in the present. Okay, so the first step that I really took to bringing myself into a happy place or bringing happiness to me was really addressing the trauma that I had gone through as a child and any other trauma that I had experienced as an adult. By doing this, it helped me resolve any PTSD symptoms I had from that trauma. It relieved or alleviated any guilt that I was feeling, and it really helped me realize that the warped perception that I had of my self-worth was an illusion. It wasn't right, and it really brought on this sense of self-deserving and confidence that I hadn't had before. And again, PTSD is a real thing, and it really does wreak havoc in your life if you don't treat it. Not being happy is one of those symptoms, because if you're in pain constantly and you believe that you truly are worthy of pain, then how will you ever be happy? The second one was making amends. And what this looked like for myself personally was maybe rectifying a situation that I felt embarrassed about or that I felt like I had wronged someone. The only example I can really come up with off the top of my head was my best friend in high school. God, I regret so bad like how things ended with us, but it was essentially my fault for our breaking apart. She's just a lovely person, amazing person, and I would say this is like the biggest regret I have was, breaking off those ties because of a boy. And we all have probably been there some sort in high school, some sort of drama, but it really haunted me for a long time because I realized that I had not only hurt her, but I had damaged myself because I had lost this really good friend. So I apologized, and I do feel better, but I still do feel like a sadness that I don't have her. But at the same time, there is this realization that I can't go back and fix those actions that I did in the past. And I've tried my best in the moment to rectify what I did. And so that leads me into the third, is to just realize that hindsight is 20/20. You did the best that you could in that situation, and there's nothing you can do to really change it, even if you did make a mistake and there are consequences in the present that you might not be really glad about. You were doing the best in that moment, and you will only really realize the full picture when you are in the present. So taking away the pain or the guilt or alleviating that stress or blame on yourself that you did something wrong really just alleviates, it really like takes away the warp or the self warp of your image, right? Or like the warping of your self image that you don't deserve happiness. Because at the end of the day, we're all really just trying our best. So I hope this helps you realize that happiness is attainable. I used to be very unhappy, and now I'm probably at the happiest that I will ever, like, I don't know, maybe I will be happier, but I truly am happy, and everything that has happened in the past to me, I do not hold it against myself. I truly believe inwardly that I deserve happiness, whether or not I'm at my happiest now or I will be happier in the future. To me, in the present, it doesn't matter. So, once again, I hope this helps. If you find this video super pertinent or you liked it, please subscribe or like this video, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!